Hello, so thank you for the invitation and to give me the opportunity to share some ideas, some information from my experience and my personal feelings about the importance of culture and the importance of what is Novi Sad doing in this district and under the umbrella of the European Capital of Culture 2022. So let's start sharing some aspects. When I accepted the invitation to talk, they told me that main problems were probably culture and sustainable development project, the model of participation, governance, and I add another one which in my opinion is very important in all creative or cultural projects, which is continuity in time, the mid and long term of the project. What we are talking about? We are talking about the fact that we know that because people of culture know that very well, but that culture should be managed not only from the point of view of the artist, of the creator, of the heritage manager. Of course, culture is important. It's probably the thing that is providing the most important difference between the rest of living beings, the rest of the animals. We are talking about arts, culture, science, knowledge. This is a crucial aspect for dignity, for providing sense to life. But at the same time, there's a social dimension we should manage in every project. Identity, self-esteem, cohesion. And of course, with or without money, we invest time, expectations, dreams. This is why economic dimension should be important from the beginning. Who's going to pay for that? Or why is people going to attend this free cultural activity? Culture, the different cultural fields are telling our life, the life of civilizations, of societies. I would like to mix always three dimensions. And this is a way to how I suggest to make the diagnosis of the project. Not only from the point of view, the traditional point of view of the arts, of the cultural managers, of the creators, of the artists, but the point of view of the anthropology and the sociologist. I mean, because culture is an expression of how we are living. And of course, culture is at the same time something that requires resources, sometimes money, funding, time, infrastructures, and how we manage this. And which are the outcomes, the delivery of culture to the society. This is important as well, from the very, very beginning of our history. We are talking about quality of life, identity, identities, self-esteem, creativity, innovation. So I insist in these three dimensions as three dimensions we should remember to make the diagnosis. And the diagnosis should be important before decide what we are going to do. Because the main question, in my opinion, is why we are going to do it. Or because I am a painter and I want to organize an exhibition. Or because I am a musician and I would like to organize a concert. These three dimensions are connected, and I think it's important to have an approach, and this is why I insist in this transdisciplinary methodology we should try to improve. And we are living in cities in which culture is a key ingredient. An attractive city provides a more secure city, a more better life, a more active and attractive economically speaking, and a more cohesion society. John Hawkes, an Australian researcher, very good, I know him personally, add a fourth pillar to the concept of sustainable development. This was at the beginning of the century. So the three existing previous pillars, economic health, social equity, environment responsibility, he adds another one, which is the cultural vitality. the respect to the cultural, how we can conceive the respect to the environment, the natural environment, without respect or considering the cultural ecosystem, I would say. We are talking about culture, but in the recent times, from the 90s, when John Hawkins started this, and under the government of Tony Blair, they created the Office for the Creative Economy Department. We start to mix culture with management and technology, and we start to talk about creative economy. And creative economy right now is a map of very active and different fields, all of them connected, because we are providing services, creations, experiences, but connecting with other activities that are not exactly culture. And this is normally around 8% of the GDP of a city, many cities more than this. And it's a very important opportunity to boost, to make urban renewal or sustainable rural development. This umbrella of creative economy is another consideration we should take. Jeremy Rifkin, of course, is always speaking about this third industrial revolution in which, of course, ideas and creativity are important. That's a very clear thing. And something that I discuss with very important people like Manuel Castells, which are the key factors for boost innovation? Innovation in other fields. We are not talking about culture. Of course, culture is a key element, but at the same time, it's a social diversity is a very important aspect to provide these innovation scenarios, and of course, the exercise of freedom, fair policies. These are key elements to boost innovation. And these, when we manage it well, we can provide attractiveness and competitiveness to a street, to a neighborhood, to a city, to a rural area, can be a driver of innovation for other sectors. As I mentioned, of course, we create jobs directly and indirectly, but at the same time, an important and every time more important impact in the GDP. And culture can collaborate in the diversification of other economic activities and, of course, in well-being of citizens. Culture is, at the same time, like an ecosystem. When we, of course, it's important to talk with the others, to listen to the others, the creators, to the managers, the mediators, the citizens, the public sector, the private sector, the NGOs. But at the same time, we must be open-minded, of course, open to international cooperation with different partners, attracting different profiles as a way to make innovation in a permanent way in all cultural projects. As I mentioned before, to boost innovation, the attractiveness of a vibrant city is important. This can really boost and attract talent and innovation, companies, researchers, creators, and this is why we say that culture is connected to creativity. Leeuwarden did a good job. Many other former capitals of culture really use these concepts to boost this positioning, to improve the situation. How to do it? This is a crucial point, because normally we had good ideas, good intentions, but sometimes, I would say often, we have problems, we face problems, mainly in how we do it, the way of we do it. So the process is important as the final result. Sometimes the process provides this experience, knowledge, and self-esteem, which is more important than the final outputs. And outcomes, not only outputs, outcomes, the change of perception is a crucial aspect in the way of management of cultural projects. For Novi Sad, ECOC has been like a spark. But this spark, this light should go on. In my opinion, the most important thing is the shared experience and the living legacy. This is why I insist in this concept of the multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary methodology facing very complex projects. The governance is another aspect. I think it's important to develop a governance with not only the public sector, I mean with the private partners, the third sector, non-profit organizations, NGOs, associations, and of course, creators, artists, and people from culture. I think this is a way to be more efficient and more productive, because always resources, and time is a resource as well, are always difficult to be managed. Culture should be in a central position with other social and economic policies. This is important. Culture is not a wonderful thing to be managed like a decoration. It's more important than we think, and we have the data showing that. That's crucial for the present city and to improve the city and urban projects. Culture is as well connected with city marketing, branding and positioning of the cities, boosting city projects, and something which is incredibly strong, self-esteem. I have experience in very hard landscapes, very hard urban landscapes, and we could see how culture can provide self-esteem and hope to people. This process, an attractive district like this district we are, can provide the conditions to be a creative district, which is different. And from the creative district or the creative neighborhood or the creative city, we can go forward and to achieve a next step, which is innovative districts or cities. Which is the difference? Innovative cities, we are applying innovation in a massive scale. Top-down or bottom-up? I insist with this, it's important to have a balance between something which is necessary, which is bottom-up commitment, engagement with leadership, with the role of institutions, of course using public resources and the capacity of leadership, trying to get agreements between private sector and public sector. Dialogue, building trust and sharing the vision are crucial aspects. These are behind something I would like to talk about, is how this small city that is Barcelona did with the excuse, using the strategy of another celebration. The city did this before in 1888 with the Universal Expo, and then in 1929, the city organized the Olympic Popular Games against Hitler, against the games in Berlin, but they had the ceremony of opening, but the same day started the civil war in Spain. And this is why they built the stadium, but the stadium was not used. They restored the stadium and they used it in the Olympics of 1992. So we are talking about how a great city could really, using culture, be a little better city. The key factors for that was the good diagnosis, a good project. A good project means shared, discussed, sharing the challenges, the problems, the aspects with the others. And the others are different sectors, citizens, unions, research universities, and all the fabric who is participating in the life of the city. A governance participation process, this was crucial. Despite the government change in the city council, the project went on, and we are still under the umbrella of the profits, of the outcomes of this event. And of course, the mid and long-term agreements. This is very important. I think that the private-public partnership that the project achieved from the beginning was crucial. This is a small city that used this as an excuse to finish, to improve the city from a disaster of city without tourism, with a lack of attractive. Using the Olympics, they mobilized private funding and public funding to improve using a key ingredient, which is culture. Some images, because in urban renewal, time is always long. And this is why commitment, trust, agreements should be considered using governance-specific formulas. Sometimes a table, sometimes creating a foundation, and keeping this as a part of political agreements that should be taken in consideration despite the result of the elections. So the improvement of the city, of course, we had the different mistakes and problems, and now we are facing new challenges and problems, but this was a city very different from before or after the Olympic Games. We told before about the 22 Art District of Innovation, but they are using in the city culture as a driver for change in all the districts. Barcelona had 10 districts, and in every district, culture has been a driver of this improving, of this change. In the Barri Chino or Raval, close to La Ramblas, this was a neighborhood psychologically really far away from La Ramblas. Nobody went there in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, and with the location of these cultural centers, of course, with other actions of improvement of the public space, the neighborhood change was a really ghetto at that time. Alborn, another neighborhood, the restoration of this old market with the presentation of the remains and the cultural forum which was celebrated in 2004 in the northeast of the city. All this led a big change, providing and positioning the city as a small city, but some attraction with tourism. And right now it's more than this. We'll see the impact of this. Of course, more than the beauty or the attractiveness of the neighborhood and the improvement of the quality of life, of the well-being of the city, there are other economic activities. And I'm saying this because Novi Sad had the conditions to follow in a different way, probably, but learning from our mistakes, a good process to achieve the incredible potentials and success that I think it's possible to get. I insist, the key aspects in the improvement of Barcelona was the public-private partnership, the goals and objectives very well balanced, priorities, the projects, the consensus, the merging efforts and resources. Some figures. The impact of culture in the city is more than 4.2% of the GDP. And we should add what? The role of culture in an activity which is important, which is tourism. Barcelona is the most visited city in Spain. Spain is, after France, the second most important country with foreign visitors, then the States, and the fourth position, China. This before the pandemic of the COVID. But of course, we are facing new challenges, the gentrification, the massification. This should be faced with other tools, other methodologies. But I'm showing these figures because the impact of culture is incredibly high, economically speaking. And not only in a direct form. I insist, we were really close to have the European pharmaceutical agency in Barcelona. Finally, it was not possible, but I had some friends there. They were really excited to be in Barcelona. So we are talking about the attractiveness. Barcelona is hosting 2 of the best 10 schools of business in the world. Barcelona has the Mobile Congress every year, but is, despite it's a very small city, the 5th city in the world, hosting international conferences. So all these things, why is possible? Because the ingredient of culture and creative economy. So we have the data, we know that, and this is why I insist, I support and endorse Novi Sad trying to do this. This is, I insist, a very small city, which is not the capital of Spain, which is a tiny city, only 100 square meters, 1.6 million people living there, with a quality of life. In 2014, the European Union awarded Barcelona as the European Capital of Innovation. So I insist, why this was possible? But this is in parallel, in connection with the outputs and outcomes in terms of access of culture of the citizens of Barcelona. The cultural activity, the cultural access is important as well. We are not working, they are not working for tourists and for investors and for talent from other countries. I think budgets are expressing the real aims. So policies are expressed by budgets. And the municipality of Barcelona, despite the political changes, is investing around 7% of the ordinary expenses in culture. I really follow what is happening in France. For me, it's the reference in terms of funding. France has a really incredible, good level of funding. We have not the sponsoring laws that we need. We need to have more incentive for private sponsorship and donors, but the level of commitment of the governments, the different governments of Barcelona on culture are reflected by the outcomes. As I mentioned, we have ideas and we need good ideas to develop good projects. We need resources to manage in the right way the projects. And of course, we should adapt the objectives, the goals, with the real resources. This is the clever and efficient administration. But where is the more risky area? Where we are facing always the problems in organization, governance, and strategy. This is another recommendation I'm sharing to you, and I'm suggesting to Novi Sad project. I think the foundation has been doing incredible work with a good team, with a good results, but why not to think into develop another model, trying to keep the continuity of the projects and trying to really provide more outcomes beyond the cultural and creativity areas. This is connected with the city project. This is this idea of self-stream, trust, commitment, governance we mentioned. It's not enough to share the solutions. It's necessary to share the problems. This is the way to build trust from the beginning. I think it's very useless, or it's more useless to say, I have an idea, I would like to talk to you, I'd like to know your opinion. Of course, this is important, this is good, but it's more efficient if we share and we start the dialogue talking about the problems we are facing. Novi Sad, I think the ECOC is providing self-esteem, trust, commitment, but this, in my opinion, is an incredible legacy. Despite and beyond this building, this district, all the wonderful program, cultural program, self-esteem, so you can do it, you have been doing, so go on. Trust, commitment, I think this is a good legacy, but insist, why not to go on? And as an example of this, I insist, every city is different. It's not clever to make a copy-paste. Every solution, every city needs a different solution. But to exchange knowledge, experiences, learn from the mistakes of the others is a way to do it, because this city has the potentials. Of course, we will face in future new problems, but I insist, these are images from a few months ago. The first meetings, the first conferences, the first shows and fairs after the COVID. We are talking about the mobile, we are talking of festivals like Sonar or Primavera Sound. They are programming in many cities in the world, and all of them were born in Barcelona, connecting creativity, arts, with this way of approach, way of management, a little different. The International Congress about interactivity, about digital contents and services was a really very important success. This was held in Amsterdam before. And of course, the digital revolution, Barcelona is a location for digital contents and digital services as well. And this is the result of these capacities of attraction of talent from many cities. Well, and as the strongest element, why the mobile conference, the Mobile World Congress is in Barcelona, this tiny city, which is full of Catalans, as me. Because, and this is the answer, and this is the message to the future, because the importance of culture. The Olympic Games, the transformation of the city, the Forum 2004, the 22 Arts, the existing and running projects have a good potential, a good strength, which is the positioning, the diversity of culture in the city. And I think this is an example, a real one, that could inspire many other cities like Novi Sad. And just summarizing, this is my town in Granollers, 30 kilometers north up from Barcelona. You know, we have a very old tradition to build towers, human castles, castells. This is just an image presenting an esprit that through the epoch, this city of Novi Sad can go on. It's a very popular thing, but connecting the effort are connecting young people with older people, and the tradition is going on. What it's about, you see. Okay, so Castellers, and which is the message behind these scenes, behind these images? Well, the message is very clear. All together we can do it. If we share, if we collaborate, if we participate, if we learn from each other, we can do it. Novi Sad has a huge potential with good achievements, with good results, and this is providing the opportunities to go ahead with improving of this nice and wonderful city. Good luck.